Welcome to week 53 of Ring Talk. Myself, Martin Theobald, and with me, Steve Goodwin, head of Goodwin Boxing. Right in the middle of a busy March. Right in the middle of it.
We were busy Saturday. We've got obviously we've got a show next week that we're working and busy sorting out title fights and opportunities for fighters outside of the shows as well, so it's very, very busy. And
before we head on to a review and a preview, there was Bradley Smith fighting over in Peterborough on the Matchroom.
He's had a year out and he won the first 3 rounds, tied a bit in the last, 139-37, against a good solid opponent. He performed well, and really Bradley, now we can sit down and talk in the next week or so and just move onwards and upwards. He's 9-0 now, so he's still young, and the big thing with Bradley is you know, he's good enough now to go for titles, but it's very important. You've got to be, once you're there, and that's why you've got to peak the fight at the right time. It isn't just about saying I can win that title, it's about am I ready to win that title and then start moving on. And if you're not ready to do that move on, that's when a lot of careers are ruined.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I haven't seen the fight, but he probably needs to get that momentum back after a year out, because he's a really talented fighter, Bradley.
Sure.
In a good training camp with Barry Smith.
For sure.
But I do feel like, you know, if he has tied in that last round, it's probably going to be, you know, a couple of fights to get his momentum.
He's just got to get some active momentum, and as you say, the momentum going. And he's a championship level fighter, but we've just got to pitch him with some momentum, not after one fight of a year off. So we'll sit and talk about when he gets out next. I'll speak to Bradley this week, and then we'll move on.
All right, so cracking on to York Hall. I'm going to run through the fights that we had, and then we're going to look at the ones for this upcoming Saturday. So we can't give too much time to each.
No,
so I hope all those that are mentioned understand it. We'll start at the top. Jack Owen versus Callum Ide.
Jack Owen, he's fighting at a weight probably heavier than he should be. I think there was a size difference as well. Jack fought at 12 stone. I think he needs to be lighter, but he's a young lad with lots of talent. Obviously needs to get his man strength together. He was a good fight. He won 39-38. He'll learn a lot from that. Brings good support. The future's bright for him. We're just going to take it slowly.
Yeah. Ish O'Connor versus Paul Cummings.
Really impressed with Ish O'Connor's debut, because he did have limited experience, and I said to his coach as well that I was really genuinely impressed with him for a debut. So I can say I think he's got a bright future ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen Ish before. I don't know how he fits that body into a welterweight limit. You know, I appreciate it may not have quite been 147 on the night. I don't know, but
Jamie Monk is a very good S&C coach as well. He's very much into nutrition, so I think credit has to be given to Jamie Monk, his coach, for that.
Yeah, but he is a hell of a unit for that weight if he can stick around there. That's Paul Greenidge, another of Terry Stewart's fighters.
He's moved to 4-0. We're just going to build up some momentum, and you know, another 2 or 3, and I think we'll be ready to move on to titles with Paul. But we're just building that momentum up, and I know there's a question around this that we'll address later. But yeah, so really where Paul is now, he'll move on. I'll speak to Terry and Paul this week. Maybe a step up to 6 now, or maybe one more at 4. But you know, he's moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Mo Gharib, Dean Evans rematch of Mo's only.
As you say, you know, I never advised the fighter to take an immediate rematch. They insisted on it, but Mo was totally different. He was professional.
He didn't do his normal dicking about in the ring. He got on with business.
He knew if that went wrong, his career's over. So it was a totally professional performance. He listened obviously to Daly, probably for the first time. And he put in a really professional performance, dominated the fight, and I was really impressed with him and pleased with him.
Good. Tom Ansell, Michael Williams, quite a hard one for Tom because he's got the Matchroom show coming up, so avoid cuts and injuries.
Yeah. Tom fought well. He fought well within himself. Michael came to win. I mean, he hit Tom with a body shot, didn't he?
Yeah, that left hand to the body. Yeah. Tom then got on the retreat fairly
Tom said to me, he said he was, because Tom's a rugby player, he said he's been whacked to the body so many times, he's never hurt like that. But good. I said to Tom afterwards, it's good when those things happen in fights, because you learn how to deal with situations, and that's what you've got to do when you move on to titles. But he's out again in 3 weeks, and the key for Tom was, as you say, he needed to avoid cuts. It was his first 6 rounder, and he done very well. And time to move on. Tom will be competing for titles end of the year, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I sat next to Michael Williams' corner, and when he hit that left hand on Tom, they were getting very excited. They were all up on their feet, wanting to go in and repeat. But Tom did well. Just
knew knew what to do.
Get out of danger.
Every
see the fight out.
Every fighter is going to get hurt at times.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and it's how you react to that. And he knew what to do. And I was impressed with Tom overall. I thought he'd done a good performance. And Tony Pill's doing a great job with him.
William Webber got his first stoppage.
Great kid. As I say, he's 5-1 now. We took him over after that disastrous loss that he had on the Matchroom show, and we're building him correctly. He's only a very young man, and I think we'll see him in British titles one day. But one day is the key. Yeah, just not over pitch him.
I love William and his dad and his mum. I went and stood up with all his fans during that fight up at the top and the balcony. I like William a lot, so I thought I'm going to go and spend a bit of time. I've never really watched many of your fights from up there. I thought I'll go and spend the time up there.
What's it like?
Really good actually, like normally I go and sit down by the ringside, but actually sitting amongst the people that have got that passionate interest in that one fighter. And bless him, his mum, like, she can't watch. She's there, but she said, like, I'll watch. I want to be there because I want, if anything happens, good or bad, I want to be there for William, but I can't watch the fight. So she turns and looks at the wall during the fight.
That's true.
Yeah, and then like she's just listening in for the reaction of those around her. Bless her. But yeah, no, good performance.
Lovely family. We're going to build him correctly, and he'll get there when the time's right.
Really good fight. The next one I fought. Although it was one of the wider scored ones, Jerome Campbell against Jamie Quinn, because Jamie Quinn came and made it a real fight with him.
Yeah, I mean it's what you want for somebody. Jerome was stepping up to 6 for the first time. You don't want blowovers. You want somebody who's going to come and fight. And Jamie brought it, and he does. He's a perfect opponent who's going to give your fighter trouble, and your fighter's going to learn more from that than he will from lots of other fights. But the fighter's not going to have it all his own way, and that's actually what happened. And Jerome performed well, and he moves on. Now he's 5-0 and moves on, to again a bit more momentum. He's going to be there soon.
Yeah. Robbie Chapman, Jordan Granham.
Unfortunately, it's the first time in 9 years that's happened. If anybody doesn't know, Jordan Granham come to the weigh-in and didn't come back.
Yeah, so the fight never went ahead.
What
does Robbie do in that situation? What time or when does he realise there's an issue?
He knew there was an issue about 9 o'clock, and then we spoke again, and then we had a call from the manager basically saying he wasn't coming back, and we then told Robbie, obviously what we do, or what any of our promoters do, that others don't all do, this is really important, because I can give you lots of examples where it doesn't happen, is we then give the fighter every penny back of tickets, so he can refund all his supporters. So every single penny that he pays all goes back to him.
Yeah.
So therefore that's the right thing to do. Unfortunately, there have been situations in the past where similar things have happened, and the promoter tends to keep the money, which I think is disgusting. So we give him his money back, and the good news is Robbie has been able to round his troops up, and he's going on again on the 16th of March.
Good. Mark Little went to 11-0.
Good solid performance. He's developing. We've got to remember, an 11-0 Mark Little is not the same as a 7-0 kid who's had 40 amateurs. Mark hasn't had amateurs, so we're developing him through. He's having all the tests we'll sit down with Paul and Mark, and he's on the verge of a Southern Area title. But we're going to sit down and look, maybe 1 or 2 more, maybe we'll go in, we'll see, but it's something we'll discuss, but definitely this year we'll be looking at Southern Area.
All right, Neil Parry making his return against Dale Arrowsmith.
Yeah, solid performance from Neil through punches. In the past he's been afraid to let his hands go at times, but this time he's let his hands go. So delighted with him. He's got another win on. Remember, but people forget he's still a very young man, and he's still developing.
Yeah.
So he's going to be a very good fighter, but it's a case of Billy Rumble's developing him well, and it's a case of just keep that development going.
Where are we up to? Dean Richardson got the stoppage against Sylvie Cubitt.
I mean, Dino's ready. He's ready to go now.
Yeah.
He's ready to press the button. So we'll sit down, see which move we're going to make. But no, he's obviously ready. He's ready to go now. It may be, sometimes when you're going for titles, it may be that a certain title's not available or the certain fight's not available, so you wait. But I think a meaningful fight of some description is around the corner, so we'll sit down and play about.
I was chatting with his coach Gary Logan about both him and Dion Juma. And he's very much of the opinion we'll take anyone for either of them. he was ready to go with both of them, Saturday night.
I mean, definitely with Dean is slightly, Dean's slightly. I wouldn't take anyone for Dean just yet, but
I think maybe anyone might be a stretch.
I wouldn't go. I mean, DLG will fight anybody. Dean will. We're just going to fight the right one. We're going to fight good fights, but we're not ready for a British title yet.
To be fair, I think Gary Logan maybe didn't say anyone. I'm slightly ad-libbing there. Robert Asagba, Surgeon Bomber.
Wasn't a great fight. It was a draw. It was competitive. But it's one it's one you wouldn't want to watch again.
Right, there we go. Kieran Leinster, second fight.
Solid performance for his second fight. He performed well. I mean, he's a solid performer, and I think it's just a case of getting built up, learning more under Barry O'Connell, and then moving him forward to titles. But he's in his infancy of his career, and we've got to realise where we are with him. He needs more of those type of fights.
Yes. Graham Tirrell, Lewis Van Pooch. Van Pooch, good performance.
Yeah, it was 39-38. Poochie came out and really gave it a go. It was a really good spectacle and a good fight to watch. Graham moves on to 9-0, and we'll look to move him into title contention probably second half of the year.
I love Lewis. He came over afterwards and just had a good chat. And,
he's a nice guy, isn't he?
He's a really nice guy. Then on to the main event, which was a hell of a main event. Miles Shinkwin, Kirk Garvey. Obviously didn't go the way of your fighter, Miles.
I mean, I had Miles nicking it, but he was nicking it. I know that everybody scores it differently. I mean, Miles feels he won by 3 rounds. One judge gave it to Miles by 3 rounds. The 2 other judges gave it to Kirk by 2 rounds. When you canvassed opinion ringside, it was, as you know, it was very, very split.
I had it 96-94 to Kirk.
Did you? Okay. And I think that was. I think there were other people that scored it the other way around.
Yeah.
I thought Miles nicked it, but I mean, you'd hope he's a champion. He would have got it because it was so close, but he didn't, and it's gutting.
Yeah, really. I did 96-94 to Kirk, but I wouldn't have argued with anyone who had it 97-93 to either fighter or anywhere in that scale in between. No, I wouldn't have had it. I wouldn't have had issue with any of it.
Because I think a lot of the rounds were difficult to score, and the other thing that I think happened, although Miles was the home fighter, Kirk had a massive support there, didn't he? So there was a lot of noise. Kirk was hitting gloves and the crowd was screaming, and it's hard to wonder whether judges are affected, because I believe if you actually watch the fight back and you score it on actual punches, clean punches landed, Miles hit Kirk with more punches, but Kirk hit with flurries when Miles was backed onto the ropes, and when he was throwing there was a lot more noise for him. So I think that is a little bit of an issue, because normally when you're the home fight you have the bigger support, and he didn't have the bigger support, so that probably negated a bit of that.
Yeah, as I say, I mean, I wouldn't have argued with anyone that had Miles winning the fight. I personally had it to Kirk, but it was just a great fight, like 2 guys that. You get some great English title fights, Southern Area title fights on small hall shows, didn't you?
It's a brilliant fight.
That deserved a TV platform for the effort of both the lads. You know what they gave in that fight. It wouldn't have been out of place at all on a bigger platform, a TV platform. It's a shame these fights don't get.
Do you know what annoys me is that especially on the Matchroom card, they don't seem to feature English title fights, and they feature fighters against the internationals, and they're 1-100, and it just doesn't make sense. I don't think the TV viewers are getting. I don't think the whites are getting the right types of fights at times.
Yeah, because I think that fight would have been priced beforehand. Probably 4-6 and 6-4. I'm not even sure which way you'd have done it. But
great.
Somewhere around even.
And when you see a title fight of English on Sky, you don't get it. It's 1-10, 1-20, 1-33. Yeah, I'm not sure that's the right. I'm not sure that's the right product really, but there we go.
Yeah, but no, I mean, commiserations to Miles and congratulations to Kirk.
Go for Miles. We've done so well to resurrect his career, and but it was a great fight. It was a great fight for him, and I think he feels unjustly treated. It's subjective, and that's what it comes back to. And I had Miles nicking it, but it's judging is subjective. And if you canvassed most people at your call, it would have been, from what I did, it would have been basically a give or take 50-50, 60-40, one way or the other. There was nobody thinking, not everybody thought one fight would win.
Nobody dominated it either way.
Well, nobody in the audience thought that it was conclusive.
Yeah.
So you can't call it a robbery. I can call it disappointing.
Yeah, unlucky.
I think unlucky, disappointing, not a robbery, but I do feel Miles done enough to nick it, and I'm watching it again yesterday. I think he landed more punches, and I think if you're scoring, it should be on how many scoring punches are landed, and if it was scored on that, then Miles does nick it. But I understand people watching it live would look at, with the noise and the amount of punches that were hitting gloves, they may have scored it the other way.
Yeah. I'll say with Wadi Camacho, he's looking in good spirits for the Akoli fight.
He scored it for Miles.
He did, and he's a friend of Kirk's.
Yeah, he thought Kirk lost. And that shows you how. It was so.
But yeah, he's looking in good spirits for his show.
He's got a big fight against Akoli. He knows what he's facing, but he's got a big opportunity, and let's see if he can take it.
It's interesting with that Akoli fight coming up. Akoli's then on Twitter offering out Dillian Whyte. You see this? Like, should he not be slightly more respectful of the fight he's got coming up, or is he really overlooking Wadi to that extent that he can start planning the future?
I think he is. He thinks this is an easy fight, and he thinks this is an irrelevant fight. So let's hope Wadi can make him in the ring think,
shit, maybe I should have.
Maybe should have not overlooked him. But it's Wadi's opportunity. He's got the tools. It's whether he can keep out of the way, and also one of the keys to that fight is whether the referee is going to allow this continual fouling, because for whatever reason, I'm convinced if Akoli was not a Matchroom fighter, he'd been disqualified twice before.
Oh, agreed.
And because he's a Matchroom fighter, the refs allow him to get away with everything. And the point is, this time we want the refs and the board not to allow him to cling. He'll be okay not clinging if he feels he's in control. He won't be doing it. If he starts to struggle, he'll start. That's when it starts. But it's continual fouling then.
But hopefully it becomes a little bit like football. You know, where a player gets a reputation for diving, and then the refs just over-assess that and start dishing out yellow cards when they've been taken down 2-footed.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it'll go to that end where.
Because as long as he's good enough to beat Wadi, full credit, no problem. But I don't want to see another, what he did against Chamberlain and Askin, the holding, the grabbing, the fouling, and get away with it. Because just disqualify him. Because if that happens, and then he'll learn for next time. But unfortunately, you don't tend to get TV fighters treated that way.
Yeah. Alright, we'll move on. This Saturday coming, again at York Hall. What are the details of when it starts?
4 o'clock start, again.
Tickets are at a premium, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, really at a premium. We've had such a big response to this show. 3 Southern Area title fights on it. Really, really good. Some really good fights on the undercard. Yeah, it really is at a premium. It's the ringsides that are left. There's about 3 left at the back. The unreserves, from what we calculate, we think we've got to do the final totals this week. We think there's about 10 left.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
I mean, that's genuine as well. That's not someone.
No, we've seen upstairs.
Well, I just saw you having to rearrange a certain row of seating to allow
somebody get some tickets.
Yeah. So no, it's if you do need tickets for it. Fighters, My Fight tickets. What's the best way?
You might fight if you might fight tickets for everybody. Really, I wouldn't be waiting until the day of the show.
All right. So we'll crack on with the action. Angelo Bevilaqua, taking on Ricky Rose.
He's exciting fighting, all action with Tony Peel.
He's a bit of a loon, isn't he, Angelo?
It's nuts.
I like him.
Yeah, it's good. But he's exciting to watch. You're never going to watch him in a boring fight, and he's realistically got Southern Area title written all over him in the next 12 months.
Yeah. Brandon Ball against Stefan Sarshev.
Making great progress, Brandon.
He is. And he's a young lad, isn't he?
Yeah, the key with Brandon is he's definitely got the tools to become a champion. But it's stopping it's doing it sensibly, because he will be one of those, if you're not careful, he goes too early.
Yeah.
And obviously I can only have so much of a say, but he goes too early and then finds as a young man he's in too deep too quick. If he's developed correctly, there is no reason he can't seriously go through the ranks.
Yep. Mark Butler, Anton Nakic.
Debut for Mark Butler with Xavier Miller, so we're decent amateur record. Looking forward to seeing him. We'll know more about him after Saturday.
Adrian Redman against Calamide.
Adrian's developing again as Xavier fighter, developing well, super middleweight. Again, we're at the 4-fight zone with Adrian. He's in that developing stage, and when they get to the 7s and 8s, we're into all these title fights. We've got loads of titles now, loads of Adrian coming through, but they've got to be developed correctly, not thrown into the walls, but not given gimmies, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and then get ready to harvest the hard work in, again, 6 to 12 months' time, I guess. Yeah,
exactly. And Adrian's one of those.
One of your favourites, I know, Youssef Khoumari.
Yeah, going great guns. He's 7-0 now. He's one of the brightest talents that we have. He's obviously, I think his win over Dave Birmingham shows where he's at. And he's fighting Birkenbergs, who's a tough guy from Eastern Europe. But Youssef is definitely progressing well, and I'm expecting great things from Youssef. But again, it's a case of working with Xavier and pressing the buttons at the right time. But the good news with Youssef is we're on the same page. There's not going to be any requests to press buttons for the wrong fights. It's quite an easy job. Sometimes people will want to go earlier than they should, and you've got to think of trying to sort of stop them, and trying to advise them accordingly. But with Youssef, we've got a free rein. There's no major urgency. They want to be winning British titles and beyond, so therefore they know the time's right.
Youssef is one. If you're only going there for a particular fighter, he's worth working out your schedule, so you're there either before to see Youssef or hanging around after, because he is a very special talent. He's worth going to the effort of.
I agree.
We'll touch on the first title fight. I'll split these up a bit. Liam Dillon, Dave Birmingham.
Oh, he's a great fighter. Liam's 23. He's come through 8-0. He's all action. Dave Birmingham is all action.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be an absolute cracking fight. Yeah. I think it's going to be a Southern area fight that will live long in the memory. And again, people should be coming to these sort of fights because this is what we're trying to arrange and put on. It's an unbelievable fight. I think Dave has a definite chance. I think Liam is favourite, and I think Liam is working brilliantly under Steve Kipps. But I think it's going to be very, very, very exciting, and it's going to be all action.
What I find fascinating with this one, Liam is young, and you can probably say inexperienced to an extent as a pro. Dave is older, inexperienced as a pro, but this is maybe his last opportunity at a title. If he loses this, it's hard to see where his career progresses. For Liam, it's not that much of a pivotal moment. He's got a long career ahead of him, hopefully. But Dave's going to be so hungry for this, and he's a workhorse anyway. Like, if nothing else, Dave Birmingham will come in and just throw so many punches. And is Liam, and when I say like experience, is he old enough in the head to be able to handle someone like Dave Birmingham, that older guy who's a bit rough, a bit ready, coming at him, throwing, probably 200 punches around?
This is the test of my management skills, because I decided I'm not going to say that somebody else has made that move. I proposed this move to Steve Kipps, Liam's trainer, and they took it in about a millisecond.
Yeah.
So this isn't where a title fight has been forced on me and I'm going, no.
Yeah.
I think it's the right fight. I've got total respect for Dave, but I think it's the right fight. So that's why we took it.
Excellent. Nick Parpa.
Yeah, we were sorting the opponent.
Try and pronounce the opponent.
So Nick again, he's now with Josh Burnham. He's moved trainers.
Okay.
Josh, he's very confident, Nick, in how he's working. He's sparring well. He's training hard, and I'm looking for a good performance from him, because again, Nick this year wants to be looking at title fights, so he's got to look good and progress well. So he's definitely on the verge of titles.
All right. Denis Denikajev.
Really exciting.
Is that right? Denikajev?
Yeah. He's very exciting, Denis. And
I've not seen him before, I don't think.
You want to watch him? He's really decent. And again, people don't know who he is yet, but they will know who he is. He's really exciting and really worth watching. He's one of the. I would say Denis is one of the brightest talents we have, but nobody really knows it yet.
Nice one. Dalton Miller.
Dalton's aiming at his latter stage of his career. Had a setback in Tottenham. He's now he's still heading towards the Southern area title. That's what he wants, and he's progressing to get his shot at that. So he's a lovely lad with Mark Byrne as his trainer. and the plans to deliver him a Southern Area title and give him a chance of winning it. And that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Ellis Zorro against Kent Carpenter.
Ellis is really come, again, limited experience before turning pro, and I've been very impressed with Ellis. He's really coming along well, and again, he's one of these fighters that we're developing through. You know, we're good at developing fighters and picking the right fighters at the right time, and I think with Ellis, this is what we're doing. I think he's got a tough fight this weekend. This guy is much better than his record suggests. Very wild, so he's going to have to be watching it. But this is one of the fights that you look. Again, you might look at a record, but it's going to. This is going to be competitive, and this is what we want. We don't want one-sided fights.
Louie Darling, another man on the comeback trail.
Phil Williams, who will come and give it a go. Phil Williams just fought Alex Dickinson last weekend. Had a war with him for 4 rounds. He was 8-0 with 5 KOs. I went the distance with him. Yeah. And Phil fancies having a go. And Louie's doing really well under Mark Murray Osborne. So it's going to be a good fight. Again, a proper test for Louie rather than just a walkthrough.
Yeah. Wish me luck with this one.
Xhuljo Vrenozi.
Oh, I will go with that. Xhuljo Vrenozi.
Julio's I think he's 11-2 now. He's an Albanian fighter. Big support. I don't remember. Was you there last time when he fought? When they were all in the balcony, it was so noisy.
It rings a bell.
Oh my God! It would ring a bell if you were there. Maybe he was one you missed, but he was on late. But he was, my God. I think he's done in excess of 200 tickets this week. Yeah. It's going to be noisy. And he's actually talented as well, to be a nice kid, so good. Exciting time. Again, if you're there, it's another fighter you want to be watching this weekend.
Alright, so another Southern Area title fight, Sean Robinson, Joshua Ejakpovi.
Great fight. Yep. Now, just so we know, this wasn't, in an ideal world, if I was putting Sean Robinson in a Southern Area title, it would not be against Joshua Ejakpovi. Yeah. Joshua is a really talented fighter, awkward as FUCK. He brings a lot of problems to the table, but he was mandatory. So the problem was, if you want to step up, he's the man. Yeah. So Sean and his trainer Terry Stewart wanted to step up, and he's the man. So he's going to have to go. Sean's going to have to go and prove that he's good enough to win. It's a great fight. Once again, if bookmakers were betting on this, it'd be 4-6-6 to 4, that sort of fight again. Yeah. So, you know, it's a great fight.
Sean has flown under the radar, hasn't he, really, in his career so far? And so it's his opportunity to break out. If he does that, it's a big thing for him.
Oh, 100%. And he's sparring. I mean, the word from Terry Stewart is he's sparring unbelievably. So, you know, the key with that fight is going to be him coping with the awkwardness of Ejakpovi. I would expect possibly Sean to be a round or 2 down, and then start to come into the fight, because I think it's so awkward to watch, awkward. But Terry Stewart has a plan. He's a master of it. Let them loose. He
is indeed.
Yeah.
Sam Cox, George Andonoff.
I love Sam. He's coming back after obviously a traumatic personal time. Sam's a great guy. Love him to bits. Very exciting fighter, and you know, it's a perfect fight back for him after the time off. And I'm hoping to see Sam look really, really good at the weekend.
Yeah, good luck to him. Jon Palata against Dean Wingrove up at heavyweights.
Now, Jon Palata, his first fight looked good, then he has not looked, and we had a meeting with John, he didn't look good in his last 2. Yeah. Did not look good. So, as you know, with fighters, we don't sugarcoat. It wasn't good enough. But let me tell you, we're going to see a different Jon Palata this week.
So is that the fire up his arse that he maybe needs, that conversation?
I saw him on Friday, and he's gone back. He stopped his first guy in a round and looked good, but then I think he thought he was unstoppable, and he was a power puncher, and that's not his skill set. His skill set is how he's got the movement of, and this sounds crazy, but I'm having an Ali type mover, slick, fast move, counter punch, but he was planting himself and just going for the killer blows. Yeah, I think we'll see a different Jon Palata, and I think we're going to see what the fuss is all about. I think over the next, he's got 2 fights. He's got 1 here and 1 in 3 weeks. Okay, 3 times. So I think we're going to see what the fuss is about. I think we're going to see a different fighter, and I know I don't know if you watched his last fight. Was you watching it? You thought it was terrible, didn't you?
Terrible was maybe harsh.
Pretty ropey.
It didn't impress me.
Yeah. So, and it wouldn't be, if you watched Jon last time, you wouldn't be thinking, I want to watch a Jon Palata fight.
It wouldn't have drawn me back in.
But watch him this week.
All right. Martin Foru, one of my favourites, because that guy's a wrecking machine.
Yeah, he's don't say that, we're trying to find out how to match him. No, he was due to fight Daryl Sharp, but Daryl Sharp got stopped at the weekend. So they were in desperate rush to try and find him an opponent, which isn't going to be easy. So that's where we are with him. But we find that we're having to try and search around Europe to try and get him an opponent.
Yeah, I enjoy watching him.
Great fighter, isn't he?
He's just an exciting lad to watch.
100%.
And they do things right with that team of people. I'm liking it.
Yeah.
Final one of the night is another Southern area, Danny Couzens versus Daniel Mendes. So chance of redemption for Danny. He's had these shots at the Southern area before. This is maybe the best opportunity he's ever going to have.
Well, you discuss that. Both my fighters, right?
Yeah.
So you discuss it.
All right. Daniel Mendes, I'm not always impressed with, I think, if I'm honest. He looks the business. Like if you were going to draw what a cruiserweight looks like, it's probably Daniel Mendes. His muscles are muscles. I sometimes think that may be to his detriment in that he's a little bit slow in movement, and sometimes the energy doesn't always carry through into later rounds, and maybe the oxygenation of the muscles and whatever. But I also don't think we've seen the best of Daniel Mendes by a long way. And I think Danny Couzens, I think we've probably seen the best of. It's not to say he can't reach those heights or maybe even go a little bit past it again. For me, if Danny turns up 100% and at his kind of his peak, if you like, maybe where he beat Ozzy Jervier, then I think he would take it. But then I don't know what's left of Daniel Mendes that I haven't seen yet. So that's the difficulty in it. Is there a ceiling to him that we haven't witnessed? And if he has, then he's going to cause Danny all sorts of troubles. But I just think maybe all that muscle that he carries, I'm sure it generates tremendous power. I don't want to be on the end of it, so don't take any of this personally, please, Daniel Mendes. But I think Danny's movement may cause him problems through the fight.
But again, it's a good fight, right?
It's a great fight because Danny's got his flaws that have been exposed in the past by someone like a Waddy that was able to jab him and move. But he's such a game fighter, Danny, and such a hard, tough man. That second Waddy Camacho fight, how many boxers would have stayed in as long as Danny Couzens did? A tiny percentage. So if this gets tough, Danny Couzens is a tough man. He'll match that. Will Daniel? I don't know. We've never seen him get into those deep waters.
We saw him caught there in the first round. Do you remember?
He did. Yeah.
That hay show. Christopher, whatever his name was.
Yeah.
He did have to battle through that.
Yeah. So I think I walked in halfway through that fight. So I never actually saw him go down. But I think it's fascinating that I say it's one. They're both kind of. I think they need to win this. Both of them need to win it. That's probably the best way of putting it. Only one of them can. So it would be lovely to see Danny finally do it after all these opportunities. And I think those fights against Waddy, he was always a little bit out of his depth with it, kind of retrospectively, not necessarily at the time. But yeah, I don't know if Danny can outmove Daniel Mendes, and I think he wins. If Daniel Mendes is able to, push those muscles and get the power and the things that we haven't necessarily seen from him yet, then he's going to cause Danny headaches.
Great fighter.
Yeah.
Great fight.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's the right breakdown. And I'm not going to pick a winner. Because I don't want to get punched by either. So, whatever.
The thing is, they both got an opportunity, and that's what we created. It's just the right opportunity for both.
Absolutely. So, we're going to move on to the questions. As always, we've got some good ones. Mikey analysed boxing on Twitter. We hear of certain promoters failing to pay fighters on time and they get away with it. Is there anything that anyone in the sport could do to ensure all fighters are paid on time, and if they aren't, the people responsible get punished?
Well, really that's a question to the Boxing Board of Control, not to me. Because the Boxing Board of Control have a system in place for this.
Yeah.
But obviously Mike is saying that this continues to go on. So it's really hard for me to answer it because I'm not the Boxing Board of Control that enforces it. Of course it should be enforced. of course, things that don't happen should happen, but the board have a procedure and they do follow it through. So when boxers, I think half of the problem is when boxers aren't paid, sometimes they don't bring it to the board's attention. And they're sort of thinking, if I take this promoter to the board, I might never get another fight again, so they don't actually deal with it. So I think that becomes the problem. I think the board do take action when things aren't done, so I don't think you can blame the board. So perhaps the fighters need to have management that deals with things properly, that makes sure that these things can't happen, that makes sure the contracts are sealed. I can only say I've had fighters fight on every promoter show and I have never, ever, ever not got paid.
Yeah. I don't know if it's as widespread as Mikey's suggesting. I've heard stories of it, don't get me wrong, where fighters haven't been paid or have been paid horrendously late, or
I've heard that as well.
You know, those kind of things. I don't know.
But that's a question. That's a question for the board to ask the board, and actually the best thing to do, because the board will always say, if you ask them that, well, give me some examples, because we are investigating. So who, when and where, and go to the board with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's the thing,
Paul Altai on Twitter, how are the plans going with view to buying the open air place you previously spoke about?
They didn't want to know, did they? So that's drawn a blank, but we are still looking at doing an open air show this summer. I
know there's another question, I can't find it at the moment, but I think it was Last Start Lee on Twitter, who'd asked about, would you plan on doing one at the MK Bowl? Now the MK Bowl, like, for anyone that's not aware of it, is where they've had like Queen, Michael Jackson, recently is more kind of dance festival stuff, and car boot sales on a Sunday, oddly enough. It's fucking huge.
You'd have to have a huge fight to put it on there.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of Joshua levels of fight, I think.
Yeah, it's probably a bit bigger than what we would put on around here. But we have got venues that we're looking at in the same area.
Yeah.
That can work, so we're hoping to tie it down in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Alright. From LPC123 on Twitter, question for me. It's like when you're giving out presents at Christmas. It's only fine when your name on it. For Martin, now you have your seconds license, will you be looking for some help from Steve to get you your first go at applying your skills during a fight? So I got my seconds license just before Christmas. It came through, and I haven't used it as yet.
Why not?
It's a good question. There haven't been that many shows, really. I mean, between the time I got it and now, if you started from like Matchroom down, there aren't really that many shows that have happened. I spoke with Kev, as in Kev Campion, about doing some stuff, not this weekend because I can't actually make it this weekend, but the weekend after, because Kev works with Terry Stewart quite close. I used to do a bit of training with Terry, and I know him, and obviously know Kev. And Kev said about if you want to come along and help out in the corner, it's always useful to have another pair of hands, another pair of eyes. So brilliant, I'd love to. I don't want to be involved in anything that's like Linus's fight. I don't want to be involved in that because fuck me, I'll probably go and I'll be more nervous than Linus going into that fight because I know him really well and I'm invested in it. I can drop a bucket through shaking or something. Do you know what I mean? Like I'll lose a gum shield, something like that. So I'd like not a meaningless fight, but a less high profile fight. To go and work. My ambition in doing it isn't to become a second, isn't to become like a full-time person boxer. I wanted to do it for my own challenge, my own thing to see if I could go ahead, go through the process and do it. And I did, and I was quite proud of that. So what I'm going to do with it then is I want to learn from people like a Terry Stewart, like Kev, people that have been doing these things for years. I'm not stupid enough to think that I know as much as them. I'd love to just stand in that corner and witness what they're doing. And if someone comes back and they've got a cut or whatever, and Kev needs to, start getting the adrenaline out and swabbing up and things. I love to see that firsthand. And I see it sometimes when I'm sat I've started finding myself watching corners. When I was saying earlier about Jamie Quinn's corner, I found myself watching the corner work and what those people are doing, the instructions they're giving, how they're preparing with, they're keeping time, 30 seconds left, right, while they're getting ready, all that stuff. I just find it fascinating. So that's where my ambitions are. It's just to learn from people because it's fascinating for me.
Brilliant. Can't wait to see you doing it.
I feel well out of place, I think it's fair to say. From British Boxing Blog, lads up north, what's the single most frustrating part of being a boxing promoter? I'm also going to turn that into manager in a minute. To balance out my negativity, what's the most rewarding? The most frustrating must be...
As a manager, most frustrating...
The situation...
I was going to say Taylor Jones, Dion Jr. Taylor Jones, Chris Billham-Smith, Park.
Yeah.
That's the most frustrating.
Most rewarding?
When you take a kid or when you take somebody who you don't believe without you doing things for them have been able to win something that they otherwise would not have won, and you see the elation on their face. And I think that is... The most. So
what are we talking about? Jamani Camiro.
Yeah, that's right. So when he won a Southern Area, I think that was amazing. I think to a certain extent, even if Liam Dillon wins this weekend, he's an unheralded amateur that's worked his way through. And yes, I believe he's Southern Area, but to have helped him win the Southern Area would be really rewarding. Where Fred Buglioni was wanted by nobody and out of contract, and we got him mandatory with British, and he beat Hosea Burton.
Yeah.
I felt I played a really big part in that. So those sort of things, resurrecting Mal Shinkwin's career, resurrecting Wadi Camacho's career, getting in these opportunities, Sam Smith taking an unlicensed Maltese boxer, giving her a Commonwealth title shot, now giving her a European title shot. It's a really hard thing when you're talking promoter-manager, because it's the management that creates this. The promotion is just the shows.
Yeah.
As a promoter, there's not... when you do promote, we use other promoters have their shows, and we use their shows to put our fighters on. So I consider myself more as a manager than as a promoter. We do promote shows, and I'm part of that with helping with them. But really, my role is management. As a promoter, you're just staging the event, aren't you? You're not navigating the moves, are you? And that's what you are as a manager.
Question from John Bailey, I like this one. Could you see a point whereby the British Boxing Board of Control have a genuine challenge to its status by a company looking to successfully operate its own only boxing board within the UK? Okay, so could anyone challenge the British Boxing Board of Control? The Maltese board had a go but never seemed to challenge.
No, because you'd have to... Number one, I don't think the board do a bad job. So I'm a board... I think that... Do I agree with all the decisions they make with me? No. Do I sometimes hold my head and think, oh my God, what's that about?
I've seen it first.
You've seen it and you think that is ridiculous. I'm not talking about whether it be Southern Area level or main board level. You look at a decision and you think, no, I can't agree with that. But you accept.
I think that's the same as all workplaces, to be fair. My bosses or whatever that would make a decision that I think that's the wrong one, but they're in control of it. I can't change that.
There's no point, and some people in boxing, they just want to create rows and argue with them. There's no point arguing with something that you can't win. You can lobby, but you can't. There's no point arguing. So therefore, because I don't believe they make the right decision every time, doesn't mean I think there should be a separate board. I mean, you've seen other boards spring up. The Maltese board, which I thought was pretty...
Well, that merged into Bieber, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, come on. And you've then got the fact that I went to a fight. I went to one of their shows where they had a girl crying in the dressing rooms because she'd never laced a pair of gloves on before. There was no quality control. They hadn't even done any medicals or scans. It's not safe, and it's unlicensed boxing. So, but the problem is, if another body wanted to come in, even a really responsible body, you would have to get a defection of trainers and fighters over to that body. Why would they defect when this is the body that's covered by Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn? It would take Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren to go over to a new board for a new board to work. So the question was, is it ever going to happen? No.
I think what annoys me most about the other boards that are out there is their constant talk of legal action against, be it BoxRec or against the board or whatever, and then nothing ever comes of it. And I kind of think, either do it or stop talking about it.
But they won't win.
Yeah, but
it's just nonsense. But I just don't follow that. I'm just not interested. It is. I work within the board. The board are a very good body. They've got people that mean well.
They have the boxers' interests at heart.
I agree. So
I ever see.
So I'm a board person. I agree with them, and I don't see why people ring out and abuse them and give them hassle, because at the end of the day, you know, you can never, you know, my wife and I will have arguments, we will have disagreements, but it doesn't mean you're going to cause Mary hell every time. You just say, okay, we're not going to agree, are we, all the time?
Mayor of Brixton on Twitter, what are your thoughts on Isaac Chamberlain not getting good offers and being allowed to fight? There's a huff. Being allowed to fight on small shows to tick over. So this was Isaac Chamberlain coming out and saying Matchroom were allowing him to fight elsewhere, and I think you tweeted yourself. Would Steve consider putting him on a Goodwin show, or would it not be profitable for him?
Not interested. I'll elaborate on that. I mean, let's take two parts of that. So, as a promoter, I would be advising, I would not be interested in putting him on a show that I was involved with. If another promoter wanted to, that would be up to them. But for me, it's a pointless exercise. I'm not
because there's no long-term benefit to you.
Absolutely.
He turns up and then goes to another.
Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't. Now, I like Isaac as a person, right? But I'm involved in building boxers' careers. He's obviously not well managed, right? Okay? He's obviously got a problem. He's obviously got issues where if he's worried about the offers, I saw he said the other day, everybody in boxing fucks you, but at least buy me dinner first or something. That was his comment.
He's on a little Twitter rampage at the moment. Yeah. I love it. Absolutely love it.
But the point is, that's not necessarily the right way to deal with this. If he thinks he's being not given the right deals, the only reason you're then allowed to fight other shows is because you're not wanted on the other shows, right? So it's not a positive, it's a negative. So he would need somebody to sort that out. He needs a team, a management. I know he's got a Ted Bammy situation or whatever it is with Ted, but whilst he is running around doing that, this isn't doing him any favours.
No.
For me, as a promoter, I'm not interested. If I was like I've taken Matchroom fighters before and managed them. If I was managing him, it's totally different because you have a plan for him.
Yeah.
But I'm only interested in playing for boxers, not just putting them on the shows. That has no interest at all.
Yeah. So I mean, he may bring a residual benefit of a few tickets being shifted.
So what? I've got enough fighters to look after.
Yeah.
So that is of no concern. The issue is there's enough fighters out there that we look after, that sell tickets. We don't need another one where the opponent will cost more.
Yeah.
Where the thing's higher, and from a promoter's point of view, what is the point? We've got enough fighters to get out. We're busy enough. You don't need floating fighters in, and that there are plenty of other promoters right out there that will put Isaac on a show.
Yeah.
And do it. So good luck to them. But the question was, would we? Absolutely not. And I've explained the reason why. Because he doesn't need a small hall promoter. He should not be advertising for small hall promoters. He should be going behind the scenes and assembling a better team that can sort out the mess he's obviously in. What
I find absolutely baffling is that you're with a promotional group that have got 60 shows per year around the world. We've seen British fighters, we've seen Gavin McDonnell, we've seen Callum Johnson being flown to America in fights where they're the underdog. We've seen, fighters getting flown to Italy. They've got all the shows on around the UK. How have they? What's gone wrong that there isn't a place for Isaac somewhere in that?
And that is what needs to be addressed. Not Twitter. I know it's funny, but not Twitter rants and not advertising for other promoters off TV. Yeah. That's not what he needs. He needs to resolve the core issue, and I hope he does, because he's a very nice guy and he's very talented. So that's but
for my benefit, it's highly amusing. So,
but for me, I find it amusing. But I'm not him. But he's not doing it the right way. I understand getting Twitter interaction. He's getting followers, and I think that's really good to interact. But he needs to sort the core issue out and then carry on the Twitter stuff after he gets his core stuff sorted.
UK Boxing 1 on Twitter. First of all, big respect. You've constantly delivering for your title level fighters as well as your prospects. Is this link up with Matchroom? Talking about Bradley Smith at the weekend and the upcoming ones that you've got as well. Is this link up with Matchroom on the last few shows going to be a regular thing? Fighters must enjoy the bigger stage, easier for you, and helps Matchroom fill slots, so everyone's a winner.
No reason why not. I mean, we work with everybody, don't we? We work with Hay when he was doing David Hayward. We worked solely with him. We've had loads of fighters on Sauerland shows, Channel 5 shows. Yeah, Cyclone, we had some on. So we work with everybody, as I said before. That's what my job is. My job is to work with everybody.
Yeah, another question from UK Boxing 1. Also, I know you're one of the few small hall promoters who make sure their shows are not financial disasters. So my question is, how in time can you progress to having British title fights or these governing body ranking belts in places like your call? As will the gate cover the additional costs of judges, etc.? Do you settle for a loss or move out of your call to bigger venues?
Well, as a promoter, let's get this quite straight. As a promoter, there is little point making a loss, right? So this is what you've got to establish, right? If you make a loss, it's like taking money down a toilet and flushing it away. There's no investment return as a promoter.
Yeah, which is fine if you're not in it for the money. But not even in it for the money, but if you don't care about money,
or if or you want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you don't want to get rid of money and you don't want to waste money, then you've got to try. Every single promoter wants to make a show profitable. If I go to Amy Sinfield as promoting on the 16th and I say to Amy, I recommend you put this fight on, it's going to cost you 10 grand, but it'd be good for the show, and she's going to say, Steve, what the hell is the matter with you?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So no, it doesn't make any sense, because as a promoter it doesn't work. However, if you have television, sponsorship revenue and some other revenue that is funding that is different. But that would be you'd have to get sponsors. You'd have to get some external things involved. But sponsors are only going to get involved normally if there is TV.
Yeah.
So when you look at some of these shows that are put on, and you know they must be hemorrhaging 30, 40 grand, I say, why?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
All right, a question from Craig Scott. Last night we've seen another handful of wins for prospects, but where does this kind of fight leave small ball boxing? A card 80% full of these learning fights surely dilutes the product and continues selling ticket buying fans a myth.
Okay, Craig. So I like Craig. Let's start with
that caveat, and then
I really like Craig.
And then tear him apart.
I'm going to have to, Craig, sorry. You weren't there on Saturday night.
However, to be fair, Craig's also very upfront with you, and will
I love Craig, and that's what I'm saying. But he wasn't there, so it's not totally, he's chucking a percentage that's not accurate, because he wasn't there. But I totally love Craig because he says it as it is, and I totally agree with what he's saying as a general rule.
Yeah.
But let's just deal with Saturday first, because we're talking about that. So there were 14 fights. One was a title fight where we didn't get the rubber to green.
Yeah.
Robert Asagba drew with Sergey Mbono. Mo Gharib had been knocked down twice by Dean Evans in his last fight and had gone for a rematch, which was a really good fight. And two other fighters won 39-38 in very close fights.
Yeah.
So that's 5 of the 14 fights, before we even talk about other fights that were really good spectacles like the Jerome Campbell, Jerome Prince. So 5 of the fights were either only 1 point apart or very close. So that means there was only 65% of the fights that you could label prospect journeyman. Yeah. In reality, show me a show top level, not pay-per-view, that is that close in fights. They're not there. So I would say we're putting on a product better than the majority. So the question possibly could be directed to other shows.
All right.
But I do understand the concept. But moving on from that, there are still, what I would agree, is the majority of the fights are still prospect journeyman, which is spot on there. But the point is, what do you do, Craig? You've got a 3-0 kid who's got limited amateur experience. He's got to develop. So does every promoter, whether it be Warren or Hearn. They develop them, don't they? You've got to develop those kids so that at the end of it, you have the 3 Southern Area title fights. You have all these big fights at the top. So what you've got to try and do when you're promoting and managing is strike a balance. Is a balance between delivering enough quality for the show where people go home and have enjoyed it, but also that the fighters are learning. But what we try to do is not match them like that. We try to match them like that.
Yeah.
And that's so. Good question, Craig. But there are some shows out there that I do agree are probably 95% or 100% like that. But you probably go further north of England, and you can find some ones that are really, really bad.
Craig, if you're not happy with that, text me, we'll address it next week.
But I'm happy, yeah, I'm happy. But that's my answer. But Saturday's was a bad example of pinpointing that. But I think in principle I understand what you're saying.
Oliver McManus on Twitter. What's the best small hall show you've been to, not including your own? It's a hard one, isn't it? He asked it for both of us, but I couldn't bother to think of an answer. So.
Sounds awful. That I've been to.
I suppose it's difficult, isn't it? Because you don't really get the time to go to.
I've been to a few. I've been to a few. I don't actually think I've ever been to. I don't think I've ever. Actually, do you know, I went to. No, I'm going to take it back. Mark Burford put one on.
Right.
At your call. It wasn't. And it was a really good show. And it was many years ago. I had Lawrence Bennett fighting Jamie Hearn for the Southern Area title.
Okay.
And there wasn't that many fights on. There was about 6 or 7 fights.
Lawrence won, wasn't it?
Yeah. There were about 6 or 7 fights on from memory, but they were really good fights. And it's probably the only time I've been to one and walked away and thought that was a good show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'm not saying there aren't good shows. I've been to some up north and everything, but I've sat there bored most of the time.
Yeah, I'm going to say the MTK Global one at Brentwood when I commentated, because I commentated superb.
I wasn't there.
You were there?
Was I there?
Yeah, you were there, because you had Mark Little and Adrian Martin.
But I left, on it. So I didn't see the show.
Yeah, but the commentary was superb, and it's gone downhill since.
So I wasn't,
Damilola Akinley on Twitter. Will UK promoters sign more American boxers for their cards and halls?
No.
There's no, unless there's value like Tyson Fury, but even then, Tyson Fury's got this romance about him at the moment. I think, however much they've paid him, I'd like to see how interested they are in him after 2 fights against Kubrat Pulev and Joseph Parker, where he's kind of danced around him, not gone for a stoppage. And then I love Tyson Fury to bits, but the Tyson Fury we've seen over here getting to that high point isn't the most exciting fighter in the world. I think.
Yeah, the Wilder flight it was a one-off.
Brilliant fight. Klitschko fight. I love the Klitschko fight.
But you know what it was? It wasn't a great spectacle. I love the Klitschko fight as well. So no, I think the answer is no. The answer is no.
Alright, Lee last star. You were saying that you are looking at giving ownership to fight nights to the fighters from that area. Okay, you're looking at giving ownership of fights to fighters from the area where they will make money. Wouldn't you use this to top up the funds from non-profit making shows, or do you combine the management/promotion?
So what I'm to take? So on that, Lee, what I've got to do is I've got Brad Paul's doing a show in Torquay, and rather than give Brad the money, go and take it and support the kids that are not selling. No, because in this world, the boxers are sell. They want what their value is. So I'm not going to subsidise, and I'm not going to give names. Somebody who's not made much money, doesn't sell tickets from Brad Paul's. That just can't happen. If Brad Paul's is the man that's generating money, he wants the money. If I said to Brad tomorrow, by the way, Brad, hypothetically, it's not going to be your stablemate Paul Greenidge down there. He's not really selling very well. So how about giving $3,000 of your profit? I'm giving it to Paul. What's he going to say to me? And also the shows generally break about even. There's not masses of losses to cover, and I'm not going to steal from Brad to cover a show that doesn't work and say to Brad, that's your show, and by the way, Amy here has lost $2,000 on that show, so Brad, can you take $2,000 of your profit and give it to Amy? No, it's not right. If Amy's show doesn't make a profit, it's down on Amy.
Would Brad have to become the promoter?
No, because what it would be is we would be the promoter, we would promote it, but the financial arrangement of the show would be that we would do the profit and loss at the end of the show, and then we would say to Brad, that's your money.
Alright.
In that example.
Yeah. Will Scott on Twitter, given their talent, who does Steve think the biggest underachievers have been in the past 15 years?
Oh.
It's a hard one, isn't it?
It's easier to mention overachievers, isn't it? But
underachievers.
Who have I watched and thought has not made what I thought they'd make? I don't want to say any of my fighters because that's just rude, so I'm not going to say that.
Someone like the obvious ones to look at, I think, are the ones that have walked away with Olympic gold medals that haven't then gone on to succeed.
Tom Stalker,
Audley Harrison.
Audley Harrison.
Audley Harrison must be amongst the...
I think Tom Stalker is the one for me that stands
GB
out.
captain.
GB captain, and he just really never made...
But he never really cracked it as the amateur, like not to that elite level.
No.
He was a good, like don't get me, that sounds really wrong, but he was a really good level and GB captain.
I'd have expected more from him.
But he was knocked out early doors in the Olympics, wasn't he, in London, where, remember, he kind of stormed off.
Yeah.
So he was never at that gold level. Yeah, Audley Harrison, to walk away with the Olympic gold from Sydney and then never seemingly get to where we hoped he would.
Anthony Ogogo to a certain extent, but then the injury put him.
It's unfortunate, he's underachieved.
He's underachieved. I think you're probably right. It's the Olympic. You can't take. It's so easy to find people that have overachieved. The underachievers have to be. I suppose you're right. Frankie Gavin probably underachieved.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, they fought for a world title,
but he underachieved. He just got beaten up, didn't he? So he still didn't
fought for a world title. Should never have been in.
So I think realistically, I would say if you nailed it to me, I'd say probably Frankie Gavin.
I'm still going Audley. I think he, just because of the hyperbole that came with Audley Harrison when he turned the whole BBC contract and paying him $1 million or whatever it was to fight a few bin men.
But he underachieved in what? He made his money
as a career. Did he fight for a world title? Don't think he did he? The Hay fight, was that a world title fight?
Don't think it was a world title, was it? Maybe it was.
Maybe it was. I think it might have been actually. But he never turned up. I might as well have been in the ring with him that night. It was.
Yeah, I mean, but Audley Harrison was Audley Harrison, wasn't he? It was a I'm
going with him.
I go with him. Okay, I'll go with. I like Audley. I've done business with him.
Oh no, I've got nothing against Audley, and he seemed like such a lovely bloke. And maybe that's his detriment as a boxer.
But underachieved. I'm not sure. I don't know what you would have expected.
And then he did gold medalist.
I'd say Frankie Gavin. I think Frankie Gavin's the biggest wasted talent that we've seen for a long time. He's fighting too heavy, too many weights above.
I think that's maybe ill-discipline, isn't it? Well, he is ill-disciplined. Yeah. But whereas Audley maybe isn't ill-disciplined, just
lack of ability.
But then he won that Olympic gold. Like, he can't be that.
But then Olympic golds. Then Anthony Joshua won Olympic gold, but didn't really win it, did he?
Well, that's true. That's true.
He didn't even win Olympic gold. Really didn't.
Audley won it on the other side of the world.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I'm going with Audley still. Okay, but I do love Audley. There's nothing personal against him.
No, but then he got it. He's earned the money out of the boxing game. So what's underachieving? He's walked away with a pot of money. So
yeah. All right. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back next week after you've been to your call again Saturday, and then you'll be going the Saturday after.
Yeah. So we'll do these 3 title fights. It's going to be an exciting night on Saturday.
Yeah, and then you got the 16th, which. Kay Prosper, Sam Amazon, Linus Udofia, Darren Cardona, big fights.
Jordan Joseph pulled off at the weekend against Claire.
I didn't got that in.
Yeah, that's true. That's down.
Yeah, that's a shame. I feel for Dwayne that as well. I feel for Jordan. If he's not.
No, he's sick, and you can't help both of them. You feel gutted for, but so we got. So that's what we got. But that's still great. I mean, with Kay Prosper, Linus Udofia fights,
all of Luton will turn up.
It's gonna be great. That's gonna be an amazing night.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Right, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.